Hey friend, welcome to this week's episode of Urban Shamanism with me, Steffi Funk, and I am warning you that today's episode may be something of an overshare. So it all starts with a story. The other night I was watching my new favorite terrible reality TV show on Netflix, The Circle, which, by the way, if you want to study in sociology, watch that show. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me feel all things, so I don't know. Or I just really love bad reality TV. So I'm watching that and I start to feel like a little nauseous, and I get up and I go in the bathroom and I heave. See, I told you, TMI, right? So this happens like all night and all the next morning. I was just like throwing up over and over, and I was so sick. And after that, I realized, okay, this week is full moon in Sagittarius, and it starts a really intense eclipse season, and today is a full moon lunar eclipse. And ever since I got stung by a scorpion and almost died underneath a full moon lunar eclipse in my moon sign Leo, I've been really sensitive to full moon energy, and in particular to eclipse energy. So anyway, long story short, what's essentially happened is that I now wake up on full moon days and I can literally feel it in my being. I don't know if you can relate, but like it's just like this super like intense, edgy, crunchy, like unmistakable energy that is La Luna. Like she's doing her work with me, whether I like it or not, although of course I do like it. But this one's really intense, and it's in my sun sign, Sagittarius. So I just started feeling into the energy of the moon this week, and it is a lot around letting go of disappointments, loss, grief. So really letting go of all the ways that life has not shown up for you in the way you expected she should or would, right? And so that is a couple things. First of all, that oftentimes relates to our childhood. And our childhood is always reflective of our karmic wounding, because we come here to relive certain things that in this lifetime we transcend, we work through, and we learn lessons about. So this particular moon is a lot about like karmic level grief, karmic level loss, and karmic level disappointment. And we each come into various lifetimes with different karmic themes, like things that we're working through. So, for some people, it's all about relationship, and, they can't find the perfect partnership. And for some people, it's all about family. Some people, it's about addiction. Some people, it's about work. And some people, it's about money. And so for me, it's all about money, honey. And it's interesting because this is not like a classic case of lack and scarcity. So what I mean is, I've been successful in my life by standard societal definitions. And yet, in order to do that, I have nearly killed myself in the process, right? I've like people pleased, bent to be something I wasn't, overachieved, worked too hard, which then had me play way too hard because I'm compensating for working too hard. Major pendulum swings, very compulsive, right? And so it's subtle for me. It's not a very clear karmic money issue. However, this week it really showed itself to me. And so I want to walk you through this today, because I first want to help you identify what's your biggest karmic issue. Where have you experienced the most loss or grief or disappointment? And then from there, to help you identify what those beliefs are around that, and then to help you find in our weekly inner shaman practice the antidote for transcending that or working through it. So I want to say, instead of let's not say that my karmic theme is money. Let's call it an abundance, right? It's called an abundance theme. So essentially, what came through for me this week is that I have a karmic theme with abundance, and the way that it shows up for me is, there's 4 ways that this really shows up for me. One is gotta work hard. Gotta work hard for the money. Like, gotta be responsible. No, being irresponsible, not allowed. Not allowed. Like, gotta be perfect. Gotta like earn it. You have to earn your worth. So that's number one. Number two is there's a sense of almost hoarding, because I'm a huge saver and I've often worn it like a badge. Like, oh, I'm so frugal. I keep my expenses so low. I am such a great saver. And yet what that really is financial constipation. Yes, there's an element of we need to be responsible, right? And be a good steward of money. But when we're financially constipated, it actually stops the flow. And then there's a third element of I wear it a little bit like a badge, like I've got to do it all myself. Like, I have to protect myself. I have to provide for my own security and survival. And so, like, this is almost an element of martyrdom, right? It's a little bit of martyrdom. And finally, this one got really clear to me in the last week was there was this element, this deep element of not fair. Like, I work so hard and I don't have what XYZ has, or I don't have what I should have, given how much I put into this or how hard I've worked or whatever. And so what I realized was I've got karmic themes coming up that are so much older than this lifetime. And one of the reasons that this becomes so profound for me is because money, in my ego mind, my story mind, equals security, equals safety. So, but it really doesn't. I mean, in the whole scheme of things, spirit is security, spirit is safety. My higher self is security, my higher self is safety. There's nothing I need to seek anywhere outside of myself in order to be provided for and to be enough. And like a lot of the work that I do with clients is helping them to release some of this root chakra fear-based wounding that has them make choices from their root chakra instead of their heart. And that's been a lot of my own karmic work, because our mess becomes our message. So as we become healers in the world, we are helping people with something that we ourselves have moved through or are moving through. So this whole theme of perfectionism, worth, earning our worth, having to work hard for it, having to be something we're not for it, having to do it all ourselves, like that's who I help as a healer. It becomes something that I stand for. And as I help other people heal this, I heal it myself. And as I heal on the next octave up around the evolution spiral, in terms of a spiritual spiral, right? The ascension spiral, I'm helping my healer-healed agreements who are right there with me, just one octave right there, right? Just right there. So essentially what came up for me is that two things. One, that I come from a German lineage of intense martyrdom. Okay. So this lineage has worked very hard, very, 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 very hard. And they have tended to have a lot of loss for the things that they've worked hard for. And I mean, if you met my German grandmother, oh man, you've never met a bigger martyr in your life. I love, God rest her soul, love her, right? She's a powerful woman and like one of the most unique people you've ever met in your life. But oh my goodness, was she a martyr? And she had reason to be. I mean, she had a tough life. She had a really tough life. And so as so many of our ancestors and grandparents did, and so many of us have. But then the other thing that came through was, okay, so not only do I have like a lineage impression on this topic, but I also have so that's ancestral, right? But I also have a past life wounding on it. So I was sitting in meditation the other day and it got revealed to me that in a lifetime I was a farmer and I had toiled in the soil, blood, sweat, and tears to, reap my harvest. And like a huge natural disaster came in and wiped out my harvest. And it was like this ultimate feeling of like, not fair. I worked so hard for this, right? So there's something karmic that's happening both ancestrally and from a past life standpoint. So this is the lifetime that I'm choosing to transcend it, right? So as I've identified now these 4 things that are true for me, so I encourage you to do the same. What is this karmic wounding that you have, especially around loss, disappointment, grief, and what area or sector of your life is it in? And then as part of this full moon lunar eclipse, use this as a portal to really release, okay? And the way that you're going to do this is sit down for a moment and just journal. What are some of your really subtle beliefs around this topic that aren't true, but you live your life as though they are? And then the next piece of this is, what is the antidote? So this is your weekly inner shaman practice. And I'll tell you what I did. So for example, with my gotta work hard belief, I automatically, for the next 2 things that I'm releasing, I decided to take the easy road. I decided to take the road that is not quite so much work, and to trust that I can do less and receive more. So there was a couple business decisions that I got to make yesterday where I was like, okay, which way do I do this, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna take the one that requires less work. So that was number 1, looking that right in the face. Number 2, as far as like the hoarding goes, I went ahead and invested a bunch of my money yesterday. I was afraid to do that. I felt like it needed to sit in a savings account. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to put it into the flow of things and invest it. And, we've made some financial choices as a family as well to really put our money into something that means something to us, that is of value to us, aside from money sitting in a bank account. And that wasn't easy at all, like not at all. And then this idea that I have to do it all alone. Well, a lot of you guys saw yesterday, I actually hired someone to help me. So that's huge. And again, hard, right? Like even today, I'm like, wait, what do I have her do? And I'm still back here like doing all this stuff myself. And I'm just really leaning into this idea that like, no, lean into the shifts, lean into the changes. Otherwise I'm going to be stuck carrying the same karmic baggage for another 50 years or 50 lifetimes. So I'm really leaning into like, how can I continue to invite her to do more, and me do less, and be helped and supported. And then, this final one about it not being fair, that one, I'm like, well, the universe just needs a demonstration of what I want. And the universe does. The universe needs us to prove in our actions that we believe in it, that we trust it. So those are called demonstrations. When you do something where you just kind of take a step and you trust fall and you're like, okay, universe, I've got you. And so for us, that was really making some big decisions around what we want our life to look like so that it is fair, so that it's exactly what we want. And so that I can't live by that old martyrdom story anymore. I get to live by, the power of choice. And so with that, I invite you to try the same. So write down what your big karmic theme is, where you've experienced the most loss, disappointment, or grief, how you can complete on that. You don't need to close the door on it in a way that you're forgetting about it necessarily, but you're going to complete on it energetically so that it's in the past and it's not bearing on your future. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to take each of the points that you're going to write down around your core beliefs around that topic that are holding you back, and then write up, as part of your inner shaman practice, a counter measure, an action that you can take to lean in and step forward right in the face of the fear dragon breathing down your neck of that belief, and do the thing anyway. okay? So let me know how that goes for you. This is an important portal for this. I know it's not easy, but it is time. So here is to leaning in and letting go. I can't wait to hear from you below. What's your karmic theme? What are some of your core beliefs? And what are your antidote actions to transcending them? I'll see you next week.